Hi friends, welcome to the Obsessed With You podcast. My name is Brandy. You can find me on Instagram as Abby and Bella's mom and on Ravelry as M. Weasley. How's everyone doing today? Just to let you know, this is episode 5, I believe, take 2. I sat down just a bit ago and recorded, but it was a bit too long. I found myself really rambling in spots when I was rewatching it, and I just decided, nope, gotta get rid of it, gotta do it again, try to make it shorter. So, here's hoping. I hope everybody's having a great day, a good start to their week. We are at the end of February already. I cannot believe it. This month has gone by so fast. But I feel like we've been saying that a lot lately about the months, although there have been some that haven't gone by as quickly, or at least they haven't seemed like that for me. But February has just kind of been hi bye. What can you do? It's going to be Christmas again before we know it. I was having lunch while I was watching take 1 of this episode, and I was scrolling through my Instagram at the same time, and believe it or not, there was a post on there that had to say 10 months till Christmas. You heard me right. Someone has posted that there are 10 months as of today until Christmas. Oh my goodness. Wow. There are parts of me that, I'm not gonna lie, are thinking ahead toward the holidays, especially with regards to knitting. But the majority of the bigger part of me is just, I'm enjoying the end of winter and the beginning of spring. At least that's how it feels today. I live in Maine with my husband and our 2 daughters and our mini dachshund Daisy. Today it is about 50 degrees, plus or minus, depending on which thermometer I look at. Sorry, I just had a message pop up on my phone. Ah, goodness. I texted my daughter about something a few minutes ago, and she's just replying back to me. Anyway, yeah, depending on which thermometer in our house that I look at, you know, they vary by a degree or 2. But let's just say it's about 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Kind of cloudy, overcast, but there have been some patches of sun. We have some nice windows here in our living room, so as much as I'd like to sit in my craft room to record, where it's on the back of the house and our patio on the back of the house is covered, that room does not get good natural light. I don't know if it ever will. I like having the patio covered. That way, when I want to sit outside, I don't feel like I'm cooking in the sun. I enjoy the sunshine, but if I just want to sit out there and enjoy outdoors, I'm not big on feeling tons of sunshine beating down on me. I try to be very careful with my sun exposure. So anyway, I guess I'm kind of left with recording in the living room, which is fine because I can sit in my comfy chair and I've got everything in front of me that I want to share with you on my gigantic ottoman. So it works out fine. No worries. But we get really good light in this room because we have a really big picture window in the front of the house, and there's a window over here on the side, and it just works out. So we'll go with it. But I was just letting the dog out earlier, and everything is melting. Whatever snow is on the roof cover of our patio is just dripping off. The ice that's built up on the patio is melting. The walkway ice is melting. That's kind of, I'm excited about that because I'm always so nervous when I'm walking into the house that I'm going to slip and fall, because there's just enough of a slope that when I'm coming into the house versus leaving, it's kind of downward, and I really don't want to fall on my bottom. So we'll see. I don't think we're completely done with winter yet. I feel like this is Maine. We're still going to get some snow. There's still March and April. It's fine. It's totally fine. I've made my peace with it. I actually saw something on Instagram yesterday. It was one of those cute little drawings. I'm going to just really quick see if I can find it. I'm pretty sure I saved it. Let's see. How quickly can I get to my saved bits? See if I can show it to you kind of quickly. It had to do with things that aren't terrible about winter. And I just thought, this is super cute. And the person who posted it is called Love and Lilac. I started following her recently, and I just thought this was super cute. Let me see if I can show that to you. You can see it. Just all the fun. Whoops, that's going wonky. Okay. Oh, there we go. That's better. Cover up my face, then you can see it. But isn't that sweet? I think the seasons are what we make of them. Some people don't like winter. Some people don't like summer. Some people don't like spring. They're what you make of them. And I always try to make them the best out of all of them because they all have their good points. Yeah. So I think that covers the weather portion. I'm sure right now my husband is a little unimpressed with the weather. He likes to do stuff outdoors in the wintertime. He loves to snowmobile. He's actually been working on his snowmobile recently, just general maintenance. But we've got spots of our lawn showing out back, so he can't snowmobile right from our house. He would have to put it on a trailer and go up north, probably 45 minutes to an hour before he could find enough snow and good trails to sled on, which is what he's been doing, and it's fine. So this is not a weather podcast. This is a knitting podcast and sewing, I guess. I love to dabble in all different crafts, knitting, sewing, the tiniest smidge of crochet. So I'm going to talk about all sorts of things. Today is going to be knitting and sewing. So I have 4 finished objects to show you, some knitting, some sewing. I have a couple of works in progress, new works in progress. I'm not going to show you the shawls today that I showed you last time, only because I haven't given them a ton of attention. I've probably only done, and I feel bad for saying this, since last time, which has been almost a month, I've maybe only done, I don't even think I've done a dozen rows total on both shawls. And I really need to work on them some more. However, I have had a new whip start last night that I need to focus on this week and get done for a birthday gift for this weekend. My daughter's birthday is this weekend. My other daughter's girlfriend's birthday is this weekend, and that's who the knitted gift is for. So I really need to crack on with it, but I will share that with you when I get to my works in progress. I also have some upcoming things that I'm hoping to do and I want to share with you. Plus I have one kind of big thing, or big for me anyway, thing that I did mention that I wanted to show you. I mentioned it last time, and I said that I would show it to you this time. So I've got it all squared away, and I'm excited to share my plans with that with you today. So let's get cracking, because again, I want this take of my episode to be shorter than the first take by like a lot, but I still want to cover everything with less rambling. So you got to help hold me to that, okay? Thanks. So my first finished object is my Christmas Eve cast on socks that I started on Christmas Eve. It's the end of February. They're done. Not like the year before that still aren't done. I actually was thinking about that the other day as I was finishing this pair. It dawned on me, my Christmas Eve cast on from the previous year, which was 2018, they're still in a project bag. I haven't finished them. I think partly because the yarn somehow got into a horrible, horrible tangle. The cake just went totally bonkers, and it just frustrated me. So I don't know. I haven't touched it. I should probably get back to it. Actually, what I should probably do is completely redo the cake of yarn, maybe hand wind it just into a ball and move on. Ball winders can be so unpredictable when they're winding up yarn. Sometimes they do a great job and everything's fabulous, and other times they just make a hot mess. You got to try 2 or 3 times to get it wound neatly. It's frustrating for sure. So this first object that I'm going to show you is a pair of socks. Again, Christmas Eve cast on, has a tendency to be socks. I used opal yarn. I'll show you the ball band. There's that. It's color number 2104. I don't believe it has a name. If it does, it's in German, and I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm just looking to see if it's on here. I don't see one. Anyway, I first saw this yarn on a podcast from Susan B. Anderson a few years ago, and she was knitting them as I guess as a Christmas sock, but not Christmas type. Like you could wear them around the holidays and they would seem festive, but at the same time you could wear them now and somebody wouldn't look at you and think, why is she wearing Christmas socks? So they're just super pretty. They don't match as far as their striping sequence and whatnot, but I don't care. That doesn't bother me. I put one sock on the blocker and the other one is not on the blocker, but I will show you both socks so you know that I am honest in that I have finished both of them. But honestly, I wouldn't tell you that I did if I didn't. So here they are. Pardon the hair. My hair is everywhere. These are them. Here, let me back this up so you can see the whole thing. This is the first one. This is the second one. And again, they don't match. This one has a green heel. This one has a red and yellow heel. It's totally fine. I don't mind. I don't mind. I just did a basic vanilla sock. I cast on 64 stitches. I don't know how many rows I did for the cuff, maybe 12 or 14. Not very many. I don't like a super long, I don't like a super long cuff for myself. I don't have the longest of legs. So, I don't like the length of the leg to be too long. This is pretty good, and I don't know what that measures, maybe 6-7 inches tops. Who knows? But this is a pretty good length for me. 64 stitches. I do use my needle of choice, which is Chow Goo. For my socks, I like a 2.25 millimeter. Basic slip stitch heel, square heel turn, just your standard decreased toe. I don't know what exactly it's called, but it just kind of, decreases like that. mainly because I don't need a pattern to whip these up. Everything's just all in my head. So yeah, so that is finished object number 1 for me. My second finished object is, oh, really quick, this is not a ramble, this is related. When I did my first recording of this, I forgot to get the leftovers because I wanted to share that with you. For whatever reason, I generally have a good amount of yarn left over, which I'm sure other knitters do too. It's not like it's just special to me. I know it's not. I generally have a fair bit of yarn left over after knitting socks for myself, or even for my daughters. We wear, let's see, I think I wear like a 7.5, and my older daughter I think wears about the same. And then my older daughter, she wears like an 8.5 maybe shoe. So overall our feet are pretty much the same size. But my point is that when I knit our socks, if I do, and I probably said this before and I apologize for repeating myself, if I do contrasting cuff, heel, and toe, I can get a complete pair of socks from 50 grams for the main parts of the sock with the contrasting bits. Which is great, because if it's an indie dyed yarn that tends to be, can be a little more expensive than a commercial yarn, getting 2 pair of socks out of it is fabulous, really fabulous. But if I don't do that, if I just stick with the one yarn throughout the entire sock, like I did with these ones, I can get the full pair of long socks, and then with the leftovers, if I do a contrasting heel and toe, there's usually enough to make a pair of shorty socks, little ankle socks. And this is what I have left over of the opal yarn, and I did measure this, I did weigh this really quick before I sat down again, and it measured 39, just over 39 grams. So this is definitely going to be enough for some ankle socks, shorty socks, whatever you want to call them. When I make those, I don't make a long leg or cuff. I usually just do 10 or 12 rows, and then I immediately start my heel flap because I want it to be down low. I want it way down low on my ankle, and that's how my girls like them too. So this is definitely going to become some ankle socks. I don't know if I'll knit them for myself, for one of my girls, for my best friend Rose, for my mom, who knows? But it's there. It can be done. So that's that finished object. Really quick, because it's kind of a new to me thing, and yeah. Anyway, I got a new yarn related t-shirt. I ordered this from Nerd Bird Makery a couple weeks ago, and it came. Let me show that to you. Isn't that cute? It's a canning jar with a bunch of yarn balls in it, and it's got some knitting needles, a couple of crochet hooks. I just thought it was super cool. And I really want to build up a good fiber, yarn, knitting, sheep t-shirt collection. Amber from the Yarn Hoarder podcast has an amazing collection of fiber related t-shirts, and it just, I think seeing all of hers really inspired me to want to have a good collection myself. So this is only my third one, but I definitely want to get some more. So when I have a day off, I've got something comfortable yet inspiring to wear. All right. Finished object number 2 is another pair of socks. This is the pair that I was working on last time for my husband. I didn't tell him that I finished these, and like I finished them a week or so ago. Actually, I might have told him when we were sitting here just watching television one evening. I might have said, "Oh, I just finished your socks." And then he was just like, "Oh, that's nice." And then I didn't give them to him because I wanted to be able to show them to you before he got them all, you know, worn. But these are the socks I knit for him. This is from the Lang brand yarn. A friend of mine gave this to me. This is the one that I showed you before. It had the coordinating reinforcement fiber for the heels and toes. I did not have a whole lot of that left. Like the spool that it was on, there were like big spots where you could see the spool through the fiber. Like there were bald spots where there were no fiber. So obviously I'm going to hang on to it in case I need for any reason to mend these, but there's not a lot left over. I'd say there was like a smallish blob ball cake. I don't remember how I had that wound of the actual yarn left, which for his socks I like to hang on to in case I need to darn them. He does have a pair in the utility room hanging up to dry. Actually, they're dry. I left them in there. I told him, I said, please don't wear those blue stripy socks. I need to darn the toe. I noticed that he was wearing them one day and I could kind of see his big toes kind of starting to try to make a poke through. And I think with those, because I did a contrasting toe, depending on how the wear is, I don't know if I'll just kind of go over the stitches in a traditional darning way, or if I'll just cut the toe off completely, pick up the main color yarn and just knit a whole new toe. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not in a huge rush to get to it at the moment. I've got other things that are taking more priority. But anyway, these are for him, and after I'm done, so long as I'm okay with take 2, I will give these to him when he gets home from work this evening. So he'll be excited. For his socks, I do, and these are just vanilla. I did the same heel flap, basic heel flap, square heel turn, same general, just basic toe, because again, everything's just in my head. I don't have to look at a pattern for it. But with his socks, I do, here, let me show you on this one. I do 68 stitches for the cuff, and then my first knit row, I increase to 72 stitches, and then I knit down and leave it that way. It gives him, I think it makes the leg a little looser. Like I feel like I could probably do the whole leg in the 68 stitches, maybe even a little less. He's kind of got skinny little ankles. But he wears a 12.5 shoe. He's got big man feet. So I don't want this portion right here to be tight when he's putting them on or get a lot of stretch. So having those extra 4 stitches just makes this portion right here where we pick up the gussets to have a little more room so it fits on his feet more comfortably and it's not tight. So that is finished object number 2. That is also all I have for knitting finished objects. My next 2 finished objects are sewing. One of them I think I showed you last time. In my efforts to be more eco-friendly, I have decided, and we'll see how these go over. I'm not really sure how my husband's going to feel about them, but he seems to be taking my eco-friendly what's the word I want? Ideas, incorporations to our house. He seems to be taking them pretty well, so I'm kind of hoping he does okay with these ones, but I'll let you know. I feel like this one might be a little more interesting. But these are my reusable non-paper towels. I think I bought a yard of terry cloth fabric from Joann Fabrics, my local fabric store. I just cut it into, I don't know, 11, 12-inch squares. I think it was 11. I wasn't really being super picky about it. I did just a simple fold over. I didn't pin anything. I just kind of eyeballed about 1/2 inch. Again, it's replacing paper towels. It doesn't have to be perfect or fancy. And I just did a simple stitch over. I clipped my corners so that they folded over neatly and there wasn't like a huge bulk to have to sew through. And yeah, there's a dozen. When the current roll of paper towel is all gone, which it could take a while, we don't use a whole lot of paper towel. We do use cloth napkins for mealtime. We don't use paper towel or paper napkins. Sometimes we use paper if it's like a party or if we've gotten takeaway or something like that. So anyway, so paper towel doesn't get used all that frequently. So I'm really hoping that I'll be able to work these in nicely and just convince him that these are better. But we'll see. So that's sewing finished object number 1 and the third of my overall finished objects. If I can get him to be okay with these, then I'll get some more of the terry cloth and make some more because I don't think 12 is going to be quite enough, but we'll see. So the next thing I made, it was something that I saw on my Instagram feed. I was scrolling through one day and it was an ad, an eco-friendly ad, and I didn't watch the whole thing, but I just kind of caught a glimpse of it and I was like, wow, why didn't I think of that before? So in my area, we don't have a zero waste shop. We do have our health food store that sells a lot of stuff in bulk. I mean, it's like a natural grocery store, but they do sell a lot of items in bulk, dry goods, and some liquid goods. And I like to buy things that way. And I've been trying to think of ways to buy my items, whether it's, I don't know, nuts or dried fruit or popcorn kernels for popcorn, rice, flour, oats, that kind of stuff. The store offers different size plastic bags for the bulk items. But again, I'm really trying to be more eco-conscious and be more aware of my plastic use. And I'm really trying hard to, I don't know if I could completely eliminate it, but I really want to reduce it immensely. And seeing this ad kind of helped because I was trying to figure out how to get my bulk items and not use the plastic bags that the store offers. I did one of the last times I went in there. I'd had a plastic container, but I was prepared to reuse it. But it was a container for the popcorn kernels that I had bought in the supermarket, and I just told myself I was going to reuse it. But the way they store or have the bulk setup, especially for like the popcorn kernels, it's kind of in a bin, but it's slightly overhead, and it's got this pull down handle. So you have to like take your bag and put it up over the end and pull the nozzle, pull the handle down, and it opens the door and it fills your bag up. Well, this plastic jar that I wanted to reuse, you know, the mouth is only like this big around, so that's not gonna fit up to the bottom of the dispenser nicely so that it will fill the jar. Stuff would have spewed out the sides and I would have made a huge mess and been completely embarrassed. So I had to use the plastic bag that time and then bring it home and put it into my container, which I have since decided that I'm going to forego the plastic container when I empty it and change it out for a glass jar. I do some canning and I have canning jars, but I'd like to get some in a slightly bigger size. Like I have the pint size jars and the quart size jars, and then I have some of the little wee mini ones. But for some of my bulk items, I think I want to get whatever the size is after the quart size for some of that. So once I start buying those, then I can start putting my bulk items into that as far as when they go into the pantry. But for purchasing them at the health food store, which on a side note, when I mentioned we don't have a zero waste shop here, we actually do. However, it's 2.5 hours away from where I live because it's in the southern part of the state, but I did see it on a local program and I was super excited. I do want to go visit there and see what all there is to offer. Obviously, I'll probably buy some stuff, so I'll make sure to take some containers with me. But it was just so nice to see that it's there, and it would be really awesome if they were able to open one up closer to where I live, because I would go there all the time. Like, I feel like I could make it part of my weekly shopping routine. But anyway, what did I make? Because again, I decided take two, there would be not as much rambling. I made, and I gave half of what I made to my daughter, so I have half of the project and she has the other half. But I made these, and I have 3 sizes here, muslin bags. They're just a simple drawstring bag. Again, I made them in 3 sizes. So I have 3 and my daughter has 3. So I made 6 of this size, which will be really good for smaller quantities of whatever, whether it's a dried herb or a seasoning, or I don't know, I can't think of everything that I get in smaller portions off the top of my head, but these will be good for that, just smaller portions. I made 4 of this medium size here, which of course I have 2 and I gave her 2. And then I only got 2 of these. I had a yard of muslin in my fabric stash. I have since purchased more so that I can make more of these bags. This one is the longest one, tallest one, however you want to look at it. And I did, before I made these, I had to buy the cord for it. Let me show you that. It's just a flat braided cord. I know most of the time people see like the round one that's super popular right now because people are making yarn bowls. But I liked this one, just where it was flat. I figured it was, I just liked that it was different. I liked the look of it. This is the only portion right here that kind of has me concerned. Just like when I go to, if I have to wash these for any reason, I'm just a little nervous about this cotton cord, the fray bit at the end. I hope it doesn't wiggle down into the knot that I tied, but we'll see. When I bought the cord, I was just kind of, I wasn't doing any like precise measurements. I just kind of like held it up to get along the bag and was like, yep, that should be enough. And I cut it, ran it through, tied the knot, whoop, good. But I did run out just for one bag, so I kept it for myself. So this one here just has just some simple pre-packaged ribbon. It comes in different widths. Spool of ribbon, I'm sure some of you have heard of it. Yeah, I just ran that through this one for myself. The other big bag like this I gave to my daughter had the cotton cord in it. But I did buy some more muslin, And I did buy some more cotton cord. I bought the muslin that comes, I bought 2 yards, but it comes, the width of it is 120 inches. Crazy. I'm going to be able to make quite a few of these bags. Not that I will use it all for these bags. It does come in handy for other sewing projects, and it's good to have on hand for that. But I do see these being good gift ideas for some people I know. So I don't know who exactly, and I don't know if even if I did that I would say, because I don't want to give anything away, but there will be some more of these, and more of these for myself, because these probably aren't going to be enough. When I do make some more, I'm going to make some that are probably, I guess, lined, where the fabric is double, for things like flower. Just because I think in just this particular one, I think the flower would kind of like poof and dust out, and I just wouldn't want it to make a mess. I do put my flour into storage containers when I do get it home, but I still wouldn't want this making a mess in my car. So that is my last finished object. So 4. I figure that's pretty good since the last time we chatted. Excuse me for a second. So, my works in progress. I have 2 of them. This one here is a sock. I am keeping it in a fun bag that I guess was kind of a custom made bag for me. The lady that made this, she's actually just come back to Instagram after a bit of a break, so that was nice to see that she's back. She dyes yarn now too. I don't think she makes the bags anymore. I think she's crossed over into yarn dyeing, and I have bought some of her yarn. But I do have, how many of her bags do I have? I know I have at least 2, and I know that I've had her make some out of particular fabrics that she's had to offer. I know I had one made for my mom for her birthday. But anyway, this is one that she made for me. This is a Lord of the Rings fabric. This is like the map fabric. And she is crochet 1, knit 2. I don't know if you can see that. Her name is Bella. She is Canadian. And then the fabric on the inside is, says Lord of the Rings, and it's got the 1 ring in there. And when she sent this to me, it had a cute little dragon progress keeper on the zipper pull, and I have since swapped it out for a different Lord of the Rings Hobbit-ish progress keeper, mainly because this one is a little bigger, and I wouldn't want to put it on my knitting because I feel like it would pull on the stitches too much, and I wouldn't want to mess anything up. But I also have a new enamel pin. The Progress Keeper is from Bump on a Hill, which is a Maine company, and the enamel pin is from Home Row Fiber Co. And she does project bags, enamel pins. I think she even offers yarn. But I saw this one, and it's a kind of a little play on words from a quote from the Lord of the Rings series. So this is the little Progress Keeper. It's not a round hobbit door, but it's still a hobbit door to me. So I've got that on the zipper pull, and then this is the pin. All we have to decide is what to do with the yarn that is given us, which of course is Gandalf, but he doesn't say yarn, he says time. And in here I have a cast on that was kind of a last spur of the moment cast on. My husband and I went to a hockey game on Friday that I won tickets to from where I work, and I thought, my goodness, I don't have any knitting to take with me to the game, because my opal socks that I was working on, I was down to the toe decreases on the second sock, and I didn't want to be worrying about, oh my gosh, did I just do a decrease row or just a plain knit row? because sometimes that I get jumbled up with those if I'm not paying close attention. And I just didn't want that because I knew during the game I was going to want to be knitting but watching the game at the same time, and you know, possibly jumping up when they scored. So I just needed some vanilla knitting. So I knew I had some yarn in my stash that was already earmarked for socks for my husband. I actually bought 3 skeins of it because I was hoping to make us matching socks. But that's to be determined because I don't know how much it's going to take to make his socks. Again, because he's a big guy, he's 6'2". His shoe size is like 12.5, so his socks tend to be big. But the yarn that I am using is Knit Picks Felici in the Baker Street colorway. Yes, I'm a fan of Sherlock. I am actually re-watching it right now. I finished re-watching Father Brown, and I decided, what else sounds good? Let's do Sherlock. So I think I'm on season 3. I don't know. The episode I just watched last night was when John and Mary get married. So it's a good one. So anyway, these are the Baker Street socks. Again, just a basic vanilla sock. I did 68 stitches in the cuff, which I did 14 rows. I did my first knit row, I increased to 72 stitches, and I have carried on since then. You can see on this side, I didn't knit all of this during the hockey game. I knit to just below the Progress Keeper. This is the Progress Keeper that came on the bag initially. It's a cute little dragon. But from the Progress Keeper up, was the last time I knit on these, which was while we were watching the Mr. Rogers movie. We just watched that Saturday night. So just a couple of days worth. That's not too bad. I haven't touched them since because of my next work in progress that I'm going to show you. Kind of has to take precedence this week because it's a birthday present. But these were kind of funny. As I was knitting on them at the hockey game and I got to the blue sections, I found it a little ironic that these colors were going the way they were because the university colors are blue and white. So it was kind of funny. I hit those and I was like, didn't plan that, but fun surprise anyway. So again, I use ChiaoGoo needles. Those are my favorite. These are on a 2.5 millimeter. It's working out really good. I like the fabric that it's producing for these socks, and this yarn is really soft. I can't decide yet if I'm going to do a contrasting heel and toe, but I'm kind of leaning that way because this yarn is so soft. I feel like a heel and toe knit in this might wear through quickly, so I might pick something a little sturdier. And two, even if it's not necessarily sturdier, it's something that I can darn easier or that I can take out and knit back in. So that is whip number 1. Whip number 2 is the birthday present that I alluded to earlier for my daughter's girlfriend. I had a different gift in mind for her. She is starting to knit and I was going to get her some yarn, and when I asked what her favorite color is, my daughter said it's green. She really needs mittens, so I was like, okay. So I went to my local yarn shop to get some yarn to make some mittens, and I decided I wanted to do not a super fancy color work, but I didn't want to knit just plain mittens. So I was looking on Ravelry, and I was looking through my books that I have in my craft room, my knitting books, to see if I could find a pattern. And I had found one pattern that I was sort of okay with in one of my issues of making. But then I found 3 different ones on Ravelry, and I was kind of torn. But there was one that I really wanted to do, and I started it last night. But I don't know, it just, the cast on it wasn't overly fiddly, but I don't know. I just wasn't comfortable with it. I wasn't happy with it. It was a provisional cast on, but it wanted you to cast on in your working yarn. Not usually, I've noticed when I've done provisional cast-ons before, it's been in a different yarn. And then you pick up with your working yarn that your item is going to be knit out of. But this one, it was like in that yarn. And I just thought, okay. And I don't know, this particular yarn is more natural. So it's a little more rustic, a little more toothy. I don't know. It just, I wasn't comfortable. I was like, wow, this is driving me nuts. So I said, nope, I'm not going to do that. I picked one of the other patterns, which was, it was a free sock pattern that had this bit of color work in the leg. And I thought the stitch count is only off by 2 stitches, which all I did was add in a stitch on each side, adjusted any necessary color work blips, and thought I'm just going to work this in to a basic mitten pattern that I already have and go from there. So that's what I have started. I will tell you that the mitten pattern that I'm going to be using is the Waiting for Winter Mittens by Susan B. Anderson. This one here. I really like this pattern. I adore Susan B. Anderson. I'd love to meet her someday, although I think I would turn into just like some weird-faced crying lunatic because I think my emotions would just overwhelm me. So maybe I don't, because I don't want her to see me all weird crying face. But I love knitting her patterns. I have her books. I have lots of printed patterns that I've printed from Ravelry and her Barrett Woolco site. She writes her patterns exceptionally well. All the information is there without them being overly wordy. They're easy to follow. Occasionally in some of them, there's like a video tutorial if she feels that's needed for the pattern. And those are always really good. So, and I've used this mitten pattern several times already to knit mittens for gifts for myself. Not gifts for myself, but for gifts and mittens for myself. So I feel really comfortable with this pattern. And then I just took, the chart for the socks, which again, it was a free pattern on Ravelry. I just opened it up on my tablet, and in my notebook, because it's a grid, the papers are grid, I'll show you in a second, and I just kind of drew it out so that I could have it on paper, because again, I do prefer a paper pattern versus trying to work a pattern from my tablet or any other device, so I can make notes as needed. So yeah, so I just did that, and that's how I'm going to work. So I've got the little illustration for my chart in this. My mom got me this notebook journal thing from Matterroot, which is a Maine company. She also she got it for me 2 years ago for Christmas, along with the t-shirt. I had asked for the t-shirt, and then she got me this as well. But the t-shirt has this sheep on it too. So, and I love wearing it. But this is the pattern. I don't know, how am I showing this? Oh yay, there you go. This is the pattern. And again, I just had to add a stitch on this side and a stitch over here on this side so that it worked out evenly for the stitch count for the mittens. So I haven't gotten very far yet because doodling this out took a little bit of time last night, and it was already kind of on the edge of getting late. So I've really got to crack on with these. These are going to be priority number 1 till they're done, which hopefully will be this week. But this is as far as I've gotten. on that. Again, I'm using Chow Goose. That is my favorite needle. I don't remember what size these are. I think I'm doing, the pattern I think calls for a size 7 US. And these are, yes, they call for a 7, which is a 4.5 millimeter. And these are a 4.0 millimeter. I'm pretty sure we have the same size hands, but I don't think hers, like I think mine might be just a tiny bit thicker in the palm. And I've noticed when I've knit mittens before that they do, if I use the needle size recommended in the pattern, they tend to be a bit roomy. And I don't want them to be overly roomy. I want her to be comfortable wearing them. So I have gone down a needle size. +2, I think, with my color work. That might snug it up, although I'm going to try to be very careful, which is why I wanted a less difficult color work pattern. But there is the main color yarn is this one here, which is called Forest Green. And let me just show you the contrast color. This yarn is Briggs & Little. It's a Canadian company. They sell this at my local yarn shop. And it was a good price point. I mean, it's just mittens, and I wanted them to be hard wearing and warm. So I didn't think they needed to be too fancy froofy. And then the contrast color that the design will be in is in this color here, which is Sage. So this is the Sage. And then this is the Forest Green. I think I'm gonna ball these up as opposed to having them in the cakes, pardon me, because I'm keeping them in my fringe bag. And I'm using, inside the bag, there's like a pocket with some grommets that you can feed your yarn through. So when you're doing, like if you're doing 2 at a time socks, or in this case, I'm using more than one color, the yarns don't get super tangled. But these cakes are like right up close to each other. And because it is a more natural feeling wool, and it's a little grabby, they're not, the yarn isn't unwinding smoothly, and because they're rubbing, so it's kind of a little tug of war game that I'm playing with it, and it's kind of slowing me down. So I think I'm just going to have to take the time to hand wind those instead of having them caked up like that for my ball winder, and hope that the hand wound ball will roll smoother in the bag. Otherwise, I don't know. I may have to take one of the, well, I can't take one of the skeins out because it's color work. I might have to resort to a different bag, but which I don't want to. I think this bag is adequate for the project. I think it's just getting that yarn to play nice with the other skein of yarn in there. All right, so let me figure out where I can set this. That is my second work in progress, and I guess kind of my priority work in progress for now until they're done. Excuse me. So what is coming up? Well, I have some knitting coming up, and I have some more sewing coming up. When I had mentioned before that I had a pattern in mind from one of my making issues, I had that issue sitting out, and my younger daughter was home from university on the weekend, and she, we were talking about the mittens, and she was looking through the issue, which happens to be issue number 4. I have all of these issues because it is an annual gift, a tradition, I guess, more to speak. My best friend Rose gets these for me every year as part of my Christmas present. She knows I love it, and I truly, truly do. To me, and I'm pretty sure I've said this before, but I can't stop. To me, these are more of a book than a magazine. The quality is phenomenal. I love them. It's not just knitting, it's all making. There's sewing, there's crochet, there's embroidery, needlework, mending. There are recipes in here. There are stories in here, little coloring pages in some. There's stuff for kids, you know, like things you can do with kids, things you can do for kids, stuff for yourself, stuff for your home. It's just amazing. And the designers that contribute to these magazines, books, they're just wonderful. They're absolutely wonderful. The photography is incredible. I'm pretty sure Carrie Bostic Hogue does all or the majority of the photography in these, and she's wonderful. I actually met her. She is from Maine, and she used to have a studio in southern Maine, and I actually purchased the first issue of Making from her studio. She signed it for me. It was super cool. She took a photo with me. We met her daughters, who were adorable. Gosh, they must be getting so grown up now. But yeah, this is an absolute wonderful, wonderful publication. If you don't already subscribe to this, I highly recommend it. Actually, one of the things I want to show you, this past year, when they did the subscription, there were actually 3. There are 2 issues that you get each year in the subscription. There's one that you get in the spring and one that you get in the autumn. And then this year, when they started 2019, when they opened the subscriptions for 2020, the 2 issues that you would get this calendar year, they included a winter issue that was like an e-magazine issue. It's just as beautiful as the printed ones, and oh my goodness, I would love it if it ever came out in print, but I will make do with the online edition, which I've got at the moment on my phone, and I've got to get it onto my tablet just because my tablet's bigger. But one of the things that I want to do is from that issue, which of course it was a Christmas gift, so I already have that particular winter edition. But anyway, so in here, because again, hello, I started to ramble. You're supposed to stop me. This was out because I was looking at a pair of mittens. My daughter picked it up. She found a pair of socks in here that she likes. So let me just quickly find the photo. Here they are. This is a pattern by Rachel Coopy. I have quite a few Rachel Coopy patterns in my binder of sock patterns. I also have one of her books of sock patterns. Her designs are incredible. I believe she went to university for jewelry design. I'm pretty sure I remember her mentioning that when she did a video chat with Dan and Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears back in, oh my gosh, it's been a while now. It was in one of their early podcast episodes. But it was cool to, to have them chat with her and ask questions and learn more about her and her designs and stuff. But anyway, so what's this called? Refract socks. So these are the socks that my daughter chose for me to knit for her. I am going to probably repeat this. I'm assuming these sections are repeats in the pattern, and I'm probably going to have to repeat this at least once because she's going to want the socks to be a little taller. She does have nice long legs. She's 5'9", I think. But she had asked for a pair of Doc Marten boots this past Christmas. Not the like super crazy high tall ones, but like the high top sneaker height ones. And I'm just kind of looking at this picture and I'm thinking this length probably isn't going to be enough, so I am going to have to make them a bit longer. which is totally fine. I don't mind. I like that she asked, can you knit this for me? It makes me feel really good. I love knitting for my family. And when they ask for stuff, it just lets me know that they like the things that I make them. So that's going to be coming soon to my needles. And because I have put myself on not a strict yarn diet, because there are going to be some things that are going to pop up that I'm going to need to buy yarn for example, the mittens. But for the most part, I do want to knit from my stash. I have some absolutely gorgeous yarns in my stash that I have purchased over the years, and I really want to turn them into beautiful items to wear. So we went into the craft room after she asked about me making the socks for her, and she kind of knew what colors she wanted, but we had to, she picked a skein, and then we kind of had to Google it and look it up, and it was a little weird because the shade card sort of thing from the company that it's from, that image did not match the yarn whatsoever. It looked like a completely different color. But there were other images using the same yarn that were more spot on to how it looked in the hank that I have, that I'm going to show you here in a second. So this is the one she settled on. These are going to be very nice socks. I'll tell you why in a minute. The yarn she chose, there we go, it's blowing out, it's kind of bright in here. This is the Rowan Fine Art yarn, and this is color number 303, and it is called Waxwing, and it's these gorgeous deep reds, and there's this little bit of brown down in here that just kind of, it just kind of blends down, and kind of almost a purpley red down in here. But the fiber content of this is merino, kid mohair, polyamide, and mulberry silk. So there is the nylon in there for some sturdiness, but you've got the mohair and the mulberry silk. These are going to be some luxury socks, I think, and it's super, super soft. And yeah, I think I had picked this up at a sale, which was good because I know this is kind of an expensive yarn. So it was nice to be able to get it. I think when I bought it, there's an accompanying pattern book for the fine art collection, and I actually bought that. So we actually pulled that out of my bookcase, and there were a couple of items in there knitted in the yarn. So, and one of them was a pair of socks. So that really helped her decide that yes, this was the yarn that she wanted. So I will get those going soon. When I went to Joann's to get the cord for my reusable bulk bags, they were having a big sale, and one of the things that was on sale was the fat quarters of fabric. And I've really been wanting to make some more beeswax food wrappers. I watched Cherie from the Ollie and Bella podcast. She had made some. Excuse me for looking down. I'm looking something up on my phone to show you a picture of. And they're super easy to make, and I did make some, and I want to make some more, and I want to make some in some different, in more shapes. When my daughters and I made some this past summer, I think, spring or summer, we kind of stuck to like squares and rectangles, but I also know from watching Cherie's podcast, she's made some that are round for like going over the top of a bowl. And I thought, that's pretty handy, pardon me. So I picked up some more fabrics to make some more of those, but also that online or that e-edition of the making book that I was telling you about just a few minutes ago, there was this other cool item in there, a pattern, and I'm going to show you a picture of it. And I want to make some of these too. I thought about combining it with the beeswax, but then I thought it might get a little weird in some of the places, some of the crinkly places. So I think I'm just going to have the two separate items, which is totally fine. And I think too this might be another item that I make to give as gifts. I love homemade gifts. Love, love, love homemade gifts. It's amazing. So this is the item. It's this really neat bowl cover. Let me see, there was another picture. Let me show you this one. I'm trying to find the ones that don't have the instructions. But that's them. So I'm really excited to make those. And so I bought a whole bunch of fat quarters, and some of these will be for the beeswax wraps, which is totally fine, but really quickly I am going to show these to you. I'm already a little longer than last time, but I do not want to reach the length of my first round today. So here's the first one, and these are all cotton, which is good. That's what you want when you do the beeswax wraps. This one's cute. Thought of Rachel from Sew Ray Me when I picked up this one. I bought this fabric before. I made some of these as gifts, and my father-in-law is a big ice cream guy, so when I sent some of these wrappers to my mother-in-law and my father-in-law, I made sure to include some ice cream ones for him. I thought he'd get a kick out of that. I picked up this one, and this one here I think is just going to be one of just the cloth gathered bowl covers as opposed to the beeswax one. These next two are super fun. There is this bright lemon one, and then we have this pretty oranges one with the little flowers, super pretty. And then this one is fun because there's red in it, and red's my favorite color. And then this one I got two of, so this one I can actually do both a beeswax food wrap and just a gathered bowl cover. It's just some fun, playful dots. So I got two of those, and then this one is super pretty. Actually, this one may become something completely different. I don't know. We'll see. But I really like this one too. The bold, bright flowers. They kind of remind me of gerbera daisies, which are one of my favorite flowers. Now this last one happened to be, and I didn't know this until I got to the checkout, that this one was not part of the sale on the fat quarters. This one was one of their premium fabrics, so it was regular price, but I think that just meant I got to use a coupon on it instead. Excuse me. But that's okay. I still bought it, and I wasn't 100% for sure that I wanted to then turn around and turn it into something to wrap up food in. But then it came to me this morning as I was getting dressed and, you know, hair and makeup, whatever. My makeup bag is like 25 years old. I bought it when my husband and I were first married, and he was in the Navy, and he was stationed in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I worked at a store called Ross, which I don't know how many of you are familiar with Ross, but it's really similar to TJ Maxx and Marshalls. They offer the same type of clothes and shoes and kids stuff and stuff for your home. Well, I bought a makeup bag, and I mean, it's just your basic, you know, it's flat on the bottom, and then it rounds over, and it's got a zipper. It's great, whatever. Floral print, I think it was like lilacs or hydrangeas or something. But anyway, it's like 25, almost 26 years old. The fabric is starting to wear. It's getting like holes on the corners. The inside is worse because the inside is like that plastic lining that you could probably like wipe out with a cloth, and it's padded, and the padding on the inside is kind of gross, and I know this because I can see it because the plastic part has started to rip in a section about that long. But whenever I go to the store, like if I go to Target or the Christmas tree shop, or just places like that, and I think about, oh, maybe I should look for a makeup bag, they're either made out of plastic, or they're too big or too small, or I don't like the overall look of them, the design, the print, whatever. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to make my own. And in one of my issues of making, I know for a fact, I just don't remember quite which issue it is. I'm pretty sure it's one of the first 3. There's a pattern in there that will work perfectly to make myself a new makeup bag. And I think I'm going to use this last fat quarter to do just that. So here it is. It's really pretty. It's kind of got like the flowers, like the outline has kind of got a little bit of shimmer to it. That might be why it was one of their premium ones. But I just really liked the print, like these zinnia type flowers, and then I don't know if this is supposed to be like a thistle or I don't know what, but they were pretty. And then the daisy type ones. So this is probably going to become a new makeup bag. But obviously I've had the other one for almost 26 years. You can tell how big of a hurry I am in to get a new one. But at least now I have a game plan. It only came to me today, but hey, it came to me. So the last 2 things that I want to share with you today are, one of them was something that I mentioned in my last episode that I was going to show you this episode. And it's something that I got this past holiday season. If you follow me on Instagram, then you will have seen these posted daily. And I am talking about my Harry Potter, let me get this right, Christmas at the Burrow Advent Calendar from the Yarn Lab UK. Now I have arranged all of these mini skeins around the basket that I've been keeping them in from start to finish. I'm not going to go through and name them all for you because again, I'm trying to keep this episode shorter. It's already a little bit longer than my previous episode, but it's shorter than the one I recorded earlier today. So I got to stick to that. Anyway, so here they are. These are all the colors, if you can see them all. So this one over here is the first one, and then they just go all the way up and around 1 through 24 over here. And then on Christmas Day, there was a full skein, or that was an option, I think, maybe, but that's the option I went for. And then there is this full skein here, which is called Friends and Family Forever. And it is on a stellina base, so it does sparkle, which is super nice. And these are all Weasley inspired, which the Weasleys, the Burrow, that is my absolute favorite of Harry Potter. Let me set this in front of me. So these are all 20-gram minis. And it took me a little while to figure out what exactly I wanted to create with these, but I have everything's ready. It will take some planning, some maths calculations, some swatching, I think, just to kind of get everything. I want this to come out just right. So I'm willing to put in the extra steps to make it come out just the way I want it. And how do I want it, you ask? I am going, and what am I going to make? I'm going to knit the blanket that is being magically knitted by Molly's knitting needles in the second Harry Potter movie. When Harry first comes to the burrow and he's just in awe of everything going on around the house, the dishes being scrubbed magically, Molly's fabulous clock that tells her where her family is at all times, and then over in the living room, in the chair, are the knitting needles cranking away, just knitting on the blanket. I'm going to knit that blanket. The pattern, I've looked at pictures online and it seems relatively simple. I believe it's just somewhat of a slip stitch pattern. I just need to work out how many grams it's going to take to get my rows just right, because these are 20 gram minis. I don't know if 10 grams is going to get the rows the way I want them, if 5 grams is going to do it. I don't think it will take the whole 20 grams to do it. So each color is going to get repeated, I'm thinking, at least twice, possibly 4 times, just depending. But again, that's where all my calculations are going to come into play, which I will start those soon. The shawls that I've been working on that I showed you last time, those, with the exception of the mittens that have to get done this week, those have to come off my needles next, especially the one in the Malabrigo yarn for Rose. It's just over half done, and I really want to get it done so I can give it to her. And I'll tell you why in just a quick second. There are just some other little goodies that came with this advent calendar that I wanted to share with you that I thought were fun and just kind of helped enhance the whole Harry Potter thing with it. A couple of these are like edible treats, and a couple of them we did already eat. We did already eat the chocolate frogs, and there was another one, and I can't remember what it was. I think I still have the little tag from it. I don't remember what it was, but I wanted to share with you the other little foodie treats that Lana from Yarn Lab UK included with these minis in just keeping fun with Harry Potter. Everything isn't exact, and not everything is like official Harry Potter snacks, but it's fine. It's fun, and that's the main part. So in there were these little like pink sugar-coated gummy magic mushrooms. I'll have to let you know what the flavors are of those. I'm guessing they're probably like strawberry or something, just because they're pink. Maybe bubble gum, who knows. There were little fizzy snakes, and these are just like little gummy worms. I don't know if they're sour or not. That should be fun. There were every flavored jelly beans. Honestly, I don't know if these are like Bertie Bott's every flavor beans. I'm hoping not. I really don't want to come across a booger bean or earwax. Ew. But they're just some fun jelly beans in there. And then I don't remember if these came with the 24th. I think they might have. But of course, you can't have Harry Potter sweets without having sherbet lemons. So there are just some tasty little lemon candies right there. So yeah, this is going to be super fun. But like I said, this project, I'm so excited about it, and it already means a great deal to me, and I just want it to come out exactly how I'm picturing it in my mind. So I'm really going to take my time in my planning and my preparation for it. But when I start working on it, I will definitely let you know and share my progress. So the last thing I want to share with you is, well, it's got a couple of parts. One, it's a new part of this is a new to me item. It's a new book, and part of it is something I'm doing. So the book that I got, and I've got the page marked with a needle wrapper from my ChowGoo needles. The book that I got recently, probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. Well, I got it the day after it released. So it came out January 28th, I think. So I got it on the 29th, which was pretty exciting, at one of my local bookstores. I got the Harry Potter Knitting Magic book. This is from Tanis Gray. And of course, there are lots of other wonderful designers who contributed to this book. And you know what? When I saw this on Instagram, I didn't realize this is a big book. Like, look at that. That is like an inch thick, at least. It is a good book. It is a really good book. And no, I did not just buy this because, oh, it's Harry Potter. I flipped through it in the bookstore. I made sure that there were patterns in here that I would actually want to knit. I don't want to just buy something because, oh my gosh, it's Harry Potter. Some things, maybe. Something like this, no. I need to justify it. But there are some magnificent patterns in here. And there are more patterns in here that I would knit than those that I wouldn't knit. So that's absolutely fabulous. One of those patterns in here, and I'm not 100% sure, because if I do decide to knit this particular item, this is going to be one of those items that falls under the exception to my yarn diet rules, because at first I thought I could use some yarn that I had purchased for a different garment, but it's the wrong weight. So in order to knit this item, I would have to purchase some yarn because it's a heavier weight. But this is one of the items from the book that I definitely will knit for myself. Ta-da! It is the Hogwarts House cardigan. So I just have to decide if this is definitely something that I want to, after my other things, that I definitely want to work on, which, yes, I do. However, do I want this to be, are you ready for this? Do I want this to be my Rhinebeck sweater? Yes, I am going to Rhinebeck this year. I'm so excited. Rose and I are going to Rhinebeck. That is going to be our besties weekend. My Advent partner, Mary, who I've been knitting with on the weekends via FaceTime, she posted that she was going, and we had talked about it before while we've been knitting together, and it worked out. She reserved an Airbnb and there was room, and she said yes, we could stay with them and the other ladies that were going, and there have been a couple more ladies that have joined our group since then too. So there's like 8 of us in our group that are going together and that are going to be sharing this Airbnb. I'm so excited. It is going to be so much fun. So I think this has got potential to be my Rhinebeck sweater. Our group is knitting the Snuggle Down Cowl by Jules from So Sweet Violet as kind of our group item that we're all going to wear. I don't know if I'm going to do mine and Rose's, because yep, I get to knit too. Rose doesn't knit, but she loves knitted items and she is very knit worthy, so I have no problems knitting a cowl for her. I just don't know if for ours, we've got to kind of look at our stash, because she has her own cubby in my craft room of her yarns. We've got to kind of look and decide Are we going to do one color with mohair? Are we going to do minis with mohair? What do we want to do? But anyway, our group is doing the Snuggle Down Cowl. And then, of course, everybody's probably going to do their own Rhinebeck sweater. Mary has already knit a poncho. We sat down together this past Sunday to knit, and that's what she was working on, was this poncho that was practically finished. She was just picking up, it's got like a cowl type collar that actually can be like a hood. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. She's done amazing work on it. But yeah, that's all she's had to do, and she's like whipped this up in like 2 or 3 weeks. Which, yes, I know there are some knitters out there that can do that, but honestly, I haven't knit a garment in probably a couple of years. 2 Christmases ago, I knit 3 sweaters, 4 Christmas gifts for my husband and 2 daughters. Then come January, I chased them with yet another sweater that I knit for Rose. So I don't know, maybe that was a lot in a short period of time and I just needed a bit of a break. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with. I needed a break from sweaters. But I feel like if I'm gonna go to Rhinebeck for my first time, maybe my only time, I don't know, and it's the 40th anniversary of the festival, I feel like I should go in proper attire and knit myself a Rhinebeck sweater. And I think this Hogwarts house cardigan is going to be the one. I don't think it will take very long. It is just straight knitting. Granted, it's in pieces, but we're talking a back, 2 fronts, and a couple of sleeves. I've done knitting before, in fact, a sweater before a couple of times that has been in pieces, so that part doesn't really bother me. I don't mind putting pieces together. Yeah, so again, something upcoming that I'm super excited about. I don't know if I'll have time to, unfortunately, I don't know if I'll have time to knit 2 Rhinebeck sweaters. I'm hoping Rose will be okay with possibly wearing a sweater that I've already knit for her. I have one in mind that I'm particularly proud of, so we'll see. Because that's the other thing. My mom asked me to knit her a sweater for her birthday this year. Her birthday's in August. Thankfully, I already have the yarn for it. But still, that's a whole nother sweater. And garments are kind of a big deal for me to knit. I can't whip them up as quickly as others do. So, whew. But anyway, that's me. That's my knitting. That's my sewing. I am getting close to the time of my first recording, and I don't want it to be that long. So I'm going to say goodbye for now. I hope you have enjoyed chatting with me or hanging out with me while I've chatted to you about my knitting and my sewing and my upcoming projects and my exciting news about Rhinebeck. I'm already making plans to meet up with people. There are some people that are Bakery Bear patrons along with myself who we talked about Rhinebeck this weekend, and we've already talked about making plans to meet up with each other there, and there are other people that I hope to meet there. Yeah, and it's gonna be so much fun. Super excited. So anyway, this is 2 months in a row. I did say I wanted to do this every month. And I know that there have been some gaps in there, but hey, this is 2 months in a row now, so I think I'm starting to get myself on the right track. So hopefully come the end of March, I will have some new finished objects to share with you, maybe some new sewing items to share with you, update you on my Rhinebeck news or any other news that I might feel is important to share with you. I will probably just have to post pictures of the birthday mittens that I'm knitting on my Instagram because I can't keep them for a month. Kind of like I kept my husband's socks from him until today. So those finished items, you'll definitely, if you follow me on Instagram, you will see them there. I will definitely post them. So anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me this afternoon. If you've liked my episode, please hit the thumbs up button. And if you want to subscribe, that would be amazing. I truly enjoy sitting down and chatting with you and sharing what I'm doing. I enjoy knitting podcasts and making podcasts so much that I wanted to get in on the fun myself. And I know I said that before, but it's true. So anyway, enjoy your knitting, your sewing, your making of whatever kind you enjoy best. And until next month, I wish you all the best with your making, and I look forward to chatting with you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.